Yeah, was that good?
Bit
Did I press the right buttons at the right time?
Tense for 6 a.m, isn't it?
I thought that was a pretty cool entry. How good was that? Hey, look, I've learned to press new buttons. Thank you, Tez. I thought when he said it was 30 or 2 minutes, I could put that on for 30 minutes. But no, I think 2 was enough, wasn't it? But welcome to another edition. I was going to say the Arsenal India podcast. That's not the one I do anymore, is it? Welcome to another edition of the Clock In Talk podcast with me, Darren, the Delhi Gooner. First of all, before I introduce our guest tonight, I just want to say we got the numbers for this show. I know it's a new show and the Clock In Talk's been running for a few years now, but we actually have enough listeners now to fill a Football League stadium. How about that? I'm not saying it's a big one. A bit worrying.
All the Etihad.
But yeah, look, really, seriously, thank you everyone for listening. It's the numbers are really good. Everyone seems to be enjoying the show. So thank you very much for your loyalty and listening to us. Fuck me, I look rough. I was going to be all prepared tonight. As usual, I'm all going to be all prepared tonight. Finished work early. I thought I'd come home and write some questions out. And then, of course, somebody said, "Do you want to go down the pub?" And, of course, I said yes. So it's going to be fun tonight. I can feel it. My guest tonight, joining us at 6 o'clock in the morning from Australia, drinking his cup of coffee, we have Max. Welcome back, Max.
Welcome, mate. Thank you. I just have to spend the next 30 minutes trying not to shit myself now with the coffee first thing in the morning. I'll be all right.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I really wouldn't.
I struggled last week, actually. There was a dangerous fart moment at about the 35-minute mark.
This is such a high quality show. And of course, joining us from the Netherlands, we have Liam.
Hi, yeah, all good here. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, Liam. I've noticed in the background there you've got a boot from Thierry Henry.
Yeah, my granddad gave it to me. He collects sort of memorabilia. The only Arsenal fan in the family has given it to me. It's signed and framed proudly on my wall.
Is there only one?
Yeah, there's only one. Don't know why, but there's only one.
I reckon he just stole it from a shoe shop. He went down to Sports Direct. Just nicked one of them.
Could have done for all I know.
Some kid at a non-league football place just hopping.
For all I know, it was my granddad's boot. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't look like that when your granddad was playing. He's about my age. And welcome to our Liverpool fan this week. Very active on Twitter, known hater of Everton fans, very good friend of mine.
I'm playful.
Like to welcome David Holmes. Thanks for joining us tonight, David.
Boys. Yeah, you okay? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who have followed me for a few years, know that I'm actually married to a Scouser. As I fondly remind people, she is in my life the part-time supporter with a full-time mouth. And at the moment she's living in Indonesia, so I can say that, although she did ask me to send her a link of this today.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic, by the way, Dad, but you crack on.
You might know David is actually loosely related to my wife. He's married to her niece. So look, welcome, David. This is a show that we do. We're previewing the Liverpool game at the weekend. Obviously, it's a massive week for Arsenal. Another 3 points, win away in the League Cup. It's just like a normal week in the life of Arsenal fans. Points coming here and there. And after playing us twice in the last 3 months, and we've battered you twice. How terrified are you at the prospect of playing Arsenal twice in the next week?
To be honest, I mean, joke aside, we've had a good chat with the lads, and I think Arsenal now are really sort of in a position where they're so well organised defensively. It's unrecognisable. I mean, when Arteta first came along, we sort of just another manager after the Emery debacle. It was just one of them. Oh, let's see how he gets on. But I think he's actually sucked all the coaching ability out of Pep Guardiola, and he's actually doing a coach's job, a good coaching job. I don't think he's bought many players. I think when did he come in? I think just the end of last year, wasn't it? So he's actually got into them mentally, and it's been impressive.
So looking at you, Dave, you look about, I don't know, 55. He's not. I forget, actually, people can see this, can't they? I can't just ridicule people like I used to. They can actually see how old I am now.
I know.
So how long have you been following the club, David? You're a Red. You've grown up in a city that's really got two teams, and you've grown up Red. How long have you been following the Liverpool?
Soon as you're sort of out the room, aren't you? Really, that's the way it normally works, isn't it? But if I can remember, I was first sort of into me football probably when I was about 6 or 7. Really, that was when me first recognisable. So I remember the '81 League Cup final. From then on, so I was sort of used to just seeing us win and win, trophies coming in every season, and it was normal. It was it was so normal that it just fell off a cliff in 1990.
It was 1980. It was 1989, David.
Well, we can go to that, but we come back the year after, but we'll get into that later.
Well, it's a story I tell quite often on my podcast. Is that my first date with my wife, my first ever date, was that night of May of when it was May the 19th, 1989. That was our first date, and we were both living overseas. So all of the Arsenal fans who say they were at Anfield in '89, according to those people who say they were there, you actually had a stadium that held about 450,000 people, because everyone says and claims that they were there. I definitely was, and I was in the island of Menorca, looking from bar to bar, trying to find somewhere that showed the live stream. And in 1989, that was rare, and in Menorca it was impossible. So I phoned one of my mates in Harlow and said, and his wife answered the phone, and I said, and you can imagine in those days putting pesetas into the slot in a phone box, no mobile phones. It was costing me a fortune. And I phoned my mate Jeff, my best mate at the time, and said, what's this? And his wife answered, and I said, Jeff there? She said, no, he's gone out for the evening. I said, well, look, do us a favour, put the telly on, because it was rare to have a live TV game, but because Arsenal were playing Liverpool last game of the season, I put the telly on and let us know what the score is. And she said, oh yeah, it's Liverpool 0, Arsenal 1. and it's 89 minutes gone. I think, for fuck's sake, we haven't done
Darren, let me just stop you there. This is almost sort of another fever pitch moment, that you could write this as part of that sort of that film. Yeah.
It was, and then I had to phone back 2 minutes later because the game hadn't finished, and she said, "Yeah, Arsenal." As you put the phone down, Arsenal scored, and that means they've won something. So,
I was a season ticket holder then at that time, so I was unfortunate. Still say fortunate to be at that game because it's still the most surreal game I've been to. Even to at the end of the game, everyone sort of stayed, and I remember. Very numb, but applauding Arsenal because they come round. I remember them coming round the pitch, and they all got applauded. So it was it won't be finished. I mean, they talk about that Aguero moment, which was unbelievable anyway. But you'll never get a moment where the two teams come together like that in the last game. I know it was sort of rearranged and everything, but that was still an experience,
So how do you rate that team of 1989, or when you were growing up with all of the success in the 80s? How do you rate that team to the hugely successful and Premier League winning team that you got now?
Well, it gets discussed, as you can imagine, at the game. I'm just like yourself, when we're with the lads at the match. This is better. Do you remember John Barnes, Peter Beardsley? They're totally different, but this side is, in my eyes, as you get older, you get a little bit more objective, don't you? And you can take a step back, and you can maybe admire players of the opposition that you previously sort of, your red tinted glasses wouldn't allow you to sort of give any credit to, but this side is better all round, and they're so consistent. And whether it's just the level you've had to play because of Man City, and I'll say City because they're still the closest team to us by a long way, I think, right now. But I like to think back at, my idol was Ian Rush, I see Barnes, Beardsley, all these type of players, even seen your side come to Anfield, Perez, Bergkamp, Henry, they're fantastic, absolutely amazing. But this side, as a team, as a team is much better. I think there's so much cohesion there. There's there's the understanding between the players. I think individually we might have had better players in the past in and amongst the team. Centre half, centre midfield, even strikers. You look at Suarez and Torres. They're much better individual players, but as a side, this is. I mean, I'm doing Salah out and Mane. I'm not going to go into all the players, but we've had better individual players, I think, at times, but we've just. And they probably walk into any team in Europe. We never won anything of significance, The entertainment.
2 Champions Leagues. We'd take one of them.
What I mean is like the likes of those players, like Suarez and Torres, if you like. We never won a League Cup, but they were probably the best players when we had Torres at Anfield. He was probably the best striker in the world. In those 18 months, 2 years, and what happened? We didn't have the rest of the side around him, but this is much better.
It's really interesting, that, isn't it, David? Because I was saying to you in the backstage, there's so many Liverpool fans over here in Australia of a certain age because they came from that bracket of greatness, and then they've those who have stayed on and remained rusted on have gone through all the hardships. But I find what you just said really interesting, because it was the thing that I wrote down when I got up this morning, is looking at this Liverpool squad, this Liverpool team, it doesn't stand out like, old players of the Liverpool era or the great Arsenal teams. It doesn't stand out in the sense that it's got many players who I'm looking at that team and I'm saying, well, that particular player is going to be spoken about for the next 20 years or the next 30 years. It's so much of a collective at Liverpool.
Absolutely.
And with the way the Premier League has moved forward, and even the way we're looking at Arsenal now, that seems to be the way. Like, why go buy £150 million striker if you don't have the crux and the bones and the hard work and the Gigi Van Aldums and the Hendersons and the Milners and all the struts that make up your team?
Yeah, I mean, we look at that and you see those players you just mentioned there, the likes of Van Aldum and even Henderson. He's had his own self-critics for at Liverpool. He's been there, a while now, sort of not quite 10 years, I don't think, but they're such an integral part of what we do. So, the world we're in with social media and all of this football Twitter fucking balls that goes on, that I do partake in, I must admit, But all this that goes on, I'm delighted when these players, he's not as good as him, he's not as good as that. So fucking what? This team is absolutely monstrous. And
I'd have Van Aldum in Arsenal's team in a heartbeat, in a second. I actually think he would be something that we just don't have at Arsenal at the moment.
It is the collective. And I still, don't get me wrong, there's still gobshites behind me. There's 2 lads in particular. And that they're on the phones all day. Harry Kane just scored. Harry Kane, fucking you're watching stuff here, boys, that people have waited decades for. As I say, we've had good players. We've all had good players. Arsenal have had good players through the years. When you haven't won stuff, really individual brilliance, but they've been so let down by consistency around them that it's just a shame that they drift off. And
is that a testament to Klopp, or will that end up being, I guess, the thing that we do look back on, in years to come, and this May is looking like it's going to end up being a great Liverpool team who are going to win things over the next block of time. Do you think that the testament to Klopp is we're going to look back on this and we're going to say he built the structures of the team and then he put the fairy dust on top of the team, and that's what's made Liverpool Liverpool?
I think it's spot on, Max, because I mean it's almost 5 years now. It's October 2015 when he turns up, and there's been an absolute, from what I can see, just a gradual involvement in the approach and the method of play. It's a total reflection of his personality. As it was shown at Dortmund. I mean, as soon as he turns up here, he said he wanted to play heavy metal football. We were desperate. We've had Hodgson, before that, fuck's sake. Then we had Rodgers. who come in, who had a good go. I think to be fair to him, that was a real start of, it was a bit of a blip, but it was so exciting that season that we had, and we sort of went close as we did do before City sort of took it. But with regard to Klopp, he's just got an absolute focus on improving the players' mentality. The first thing he's done, and this is why I'm not putting comparisons with Arteta at all, but from what I can see from him, he hasn't bought anyone. He's looked around the changing room, and he's working. I don't know how they do this, work on players' mentality, because you've got a different team now in attitude, in togetherness, and the character, in all this stuff that you can't sometimes you can't see when you're buying a play. It's good to see them on YouTube scoring goals, and anyone can edit a video like that, but to get a mentality of player gradually over the years to sort of annually just look for the same type of player in the way he wants them to play, then that's exactly what he's been doing. The coaching and improving at the players, and the annual turnarounds who fit his ideas has been there for all to see. In 5 years, the first 2-3 years, it was that slow build, but the last 2 years they've hit wouldn't even say a plateau at the moment, because you can see that the next stages of involvement there, and it's really exciting.
We should have got him after that FA Cup, boys.
Yeah, we should. Although we seem to have the same sort of manager. As David said when we first came on, Arteta seems to have done that with a very, very mediocre group of players. He's extracting something out of them and changed that mentality. And I think that's either just in you or it isn't in you, And
I think, looking at it from an Arsenal perspective, maybe you can just that on its own, looking at the two setups, the two squads. There'll be slight changes. There'll be people on loan maybe have come in, but you can see that the performances. I noticed it in that first game. Now going back to that first game after lockdown, I felt that was it was difficult for us, because we technically won that in March. In February, that league was gone. I know we've had all the jokes about COVID and null and void and all this, but once that sort of went, I think it was a different it was just a matter of time for us. It was a question of, we didn't have to win another game technically, because City done it for us. They lost to Chelsea, probably lost other games after that, so it was done and dusted.
I don't think any of us, David, are going to take any credit from that game at the Emirates, where I think you had something like 36 shots to our 1, and we beat you 1-0.
But look, this sort of happens, and I did see the stats before. I thought, well, I've got to look there, because I will mention it, and it was like 3. I think you had 3 shots, 2 on target, and there was 2 mistakes from obviously the keeper and Van Dijk, and I haven't seen. I think I've seen 3 mistakes between them in 2 years. So I was going to mention. I was going to mention 2 in one game was unbelievable, But it was one of them,
I was going to mention Van Dijk. He made a mistake. Is that a rarity for Van Dijk? The press love Van Dijk, and we're all a little bit annoyed that we didn't buy him. I was on record of saying that he hadn't played for 6 months. He'd been injured. He was leaving the club, no loyalty. Let's just see how good he is. And then he became very, very, very good.
I just think that you see there's certain players that this has happened to, where they turn up at your club and they hit the ground running. I mentioned 2 before, in Torres and Suarez. They came, and as soon as their feet touched the ground, they were off. And that's what you want as a supporter. There's plenty. I think look back at like Robert Pires, when he turns up on Bergkamp. Even these players didn't start well. I don't think Pires started well for the first.
Can I name drop?
If I remember rightly,
Can I name drop? Me and Robert Pires go back a long way, but I actually went and picked up his wife from his house in Baker Street back in the day. It was his first season. I was with a good mate of mine who knew his family, so we went to pick up his wife from Baker Street, took her to the game. It was a long story, but Pires gave me a lift back to the station after the game. His English was really bad at the time, really, really bad. And I was just trying to say to him, how are you enjoying it? And we'd just got, I think we'd had a tough Champions League game. We'd been kicked all over the park. And then we were playing away at Manchester United at the weekend. And he just said, hard, very, very hard. And that was the weekend. I can't remember which Man United away game it was, but it was the one we either lost 8-2 or 6-0. It was one of those, it was one of those two. It was also, sorry, just to digress, that was also one of my least favourite nights ever as an Arsenal fan, because I got invited into the Players' Lounge after that game, first time ever. So excited, obviously a big goon, I've been following all my life, and I get invited into the Players' Lounge, and I sat on a table, swear, God's honest truth, Charlene Spiteri sitting next to me because she was going out with Thierry Henry, who was sitting next to her, a big round table, about 8 of us, Sylvain Wiltord, Patrick Vieira and his beautiful wife, most beautiful woman I think I've ever seen. Who else was there? Perez, of course. But all of these players sitting around the table, and I am in the Arsenal support in the Players' Lounge thinking this is all of my heroes. I sat there for an hour listening to them all speak French. Didn't understand a fucking word, couldn't have a... And that was the week that Arsene Wenger had banned alcohol in the Players' Lounge. So I sat there for a good hour just going, yeah, all right, fucking this is England, speak English, will you? Really
well, that would have
miserable.
been why Ray Parlour wasn't there. He was down the pub.
yeah, he'd gone by then, unfortunately, Mr. Parlour. Liam, you haven't said much. You got any questions for David?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, I was thinking about this pre-show. So what do you ask a fan of a team that's probably got the best squad in the league and has won the 2 most prestigious trophies in the last 2 years? I guess the question is, do you guys have realistic hopes that you will keep that up? Because it feels like there's maybe a couple of cracks starting to show, but I don't know how worried you guys are. Or
just enlighten me, those cracks.
3 goals at home to Leeds.
That's the one.
We're all hanging on to that.
Well, it's
post-COVID.
It's interesting. I mean, yeah, the post-COVID thing. As I say, I just thought it was a strange one because we were in the position we were. It was. I don't know what sort of happened, but they've done enough. They finished the league 18 points. I think we started 25 ahead and we finished 18. So I mean.
That's a slide, David. That's a slide.
Yeah, I told you these are things you can hold on to. But with regards to the Leeds, I can recall a few games, to be honest. I mean, the Leeds game was identical to the first game last year. We played Norwich at home, and Norwich were outstanding. And the fact they couldn't finish, they had more chances than Leeds, and we beat them. We were 4-0 up at half time, and we were looking around going, "This is not a 4-0 game at all." These were they must have had about 5 or 6. The way you saw Leeds get those chances, they had those chances and couldn't take them. So teams will get chances against us. They're just, I don't know what happens to them. I mean, I can only think of Leeds there. We played Leipzig in the Champions League as well. I think we had Chelsea in the lockdown as well, where they come and score 3 goals against us. And someone else, I think, there was another team, but on each occasion, we've scored more than them.
Yes,
when that's happened, we've beaten them all. We beat Chelsea 5-3, we beat Leeds 4-3, we beat Leipzig. I think we 3-0 up against Leipzig when Haaland was playing, and they come back and scored 3. And in fact, Minamino scored. He played for them at the time, and Haaland scored. What a great game! But then
David, we've had the last 2 weeks. We've had a Fulham fan on and a West Ham fan, and I think they both wanted to hang themselves at the end of it because they just weren't looking forward to the season. It's kind of nice having somebody on with so much confidence. Liam, did you want to follow up there? Did I see you wanted to follow up?
Yeah,
so the cracks. Sorry, Liam, the cracks you were talking about. Go on.
Yeah, no, I think the point I was going to come to, I guess, was this is one of the most impressive things about the Liverpool side is not what the individual players can do, but the amount of ways that Liverpool can win a football match. They can outscore you, make it a basketball game and outscore you 5-4-3, but they can shithouse a 1-0 win if they need to, or they can go 2 goals up early and just kill the game and see it out. There's so many ways. It's one of the most impressive things about Liverpool.
Yeah. To be honest, Liam, I think there's had to be a period of learning from the Liverpool supporters as well, because the last couple of years, I mean, especially the beginning of last year, because it was agonising that the night when we got the 97 points, the season before last, and it was the consistency of it was unbelievable. The 2 sides you just got to say, and I thought to myself, and it was only the Champions League win against your mates Tottenham that really sort of. It gave us a real sort of relief at the end that we sort of took a trophy that we don't sort of dismiss. We sort of love it because it's been there so often. It's but a lot of the supporters around me and my friends, that they were we were winning games beginning of last season, first 7 or 8 games, we won them all, and they were frustrated. They were saying, why aren't we taking these to clean? City will be beating these by 5, City will be beating these by 6. We're just getting 2 goals ahead and stopping, or 1 goal ahead, or winning 2-1 or 3-1, or they were getting a bit frustrated. And I said, look, it's evolving. They're managing the games. You could actually see it. They were doing what they had to do, getting the game done next and next.
David, we talk quite often about modern football fans on this show. And I was at Anfield. I mean, I've been at Anfield the last 2 times we've played there in the Premier League, and I think we got beat by 4 both times. But I sat I had a great seat the season before last on the halfway line in the top tier, and you beat us 4-0. But you started badly. For the first 10 minutes, it was, I think we held on for about 6 or 7 minutes. And the amount of abuse and negativity that was coming from around me for this fabulous Liverpool side. Are football fans ever happy?
No, not at all. These gobshites are around us. They walk and eat in the same places and drink in the same places as us. Some people are never happy. I'm just at ease with that now. It took a while to not react on purpose, but it's people. They'll never be happy, and that's a lot of the phrases you can turn around to the game. You've done it yourselves, you turn around and said, if you can't be happy watching this, there's fuck all down for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's nothing down for you. If you're complaining about this, go back and put your DVD on a fucking Paul Konchesky and fucking, whoever else we had. These bags of shite.
Don't get me started on fans and Twitter and following up.
Yeah, that, Max. It's a different world now. So I just buzz off it, to be honest.
Following Arsenal now, it's interesting you say that, because I was thinking of what's a great question that you ask a Liverpool fan, a bit like Liam. And the thing that came out for me was, as a fan of a football club that's had to go through a long period of being lean, having come from a period of greatness, I think there's a lot of synergies between Arsenal fans and Liverpool fans. I think that we look towards Liverpool as the shining light as to this is how you get out of it, and this is the roadmap of how you get out of it. Granted, different football teams and executive level. But for you, was there a moment or a signing when you thought the tide is changing? This is for real? Was it the signing of Klopp? Was it the signing of Van Dijk? Or was there a period of games or a string of games or just effort levels where you looked at it and you said, this is going to change?
Yeah, I think for me, it was a gradual thing. Obviously, when Klopp turned up, I'll be honest, I knew bits about him. And obviously when he signed, you've heard of him, I knew he got to Champions League. I knew he'd done great stuff at Dortmund. I knew how they played, and I knew how quickly he changed them sort of round to the football that they were playing. That excited me before he even came. Then you listen to the press conferences and all the rest of it, and he's obviously a very charismatic guy, He says all the right things, but a lot of the managers, when they first turn up, say the right things, and the proof's in the pudding. We knew what sort of squads we had when he first turned up. And for me, it was so sort of gradual. The first season was great, to be honest. We had little glimpses in 2015-16 when he first came up. He didn't buy anyone. He got us to the League Cup final. He got us to the Europa. Lost to both of them. He still gets them sort of brickbats thrown at him to say, he choked in the final, choked this. Following year, signed Mane, signed Wijnaldum. Still, he was from a relegated side, Newcastle, Mane, paying that much money for him. He blows hot and cold. But these players are integral. You've seen them all, what they've done over the years, and he just slowly adds on them. That second game, that second season, Champions League qualification, which was critical for the club. Season after that, Robertson, Salah, Oxlade turns up. There's a lot of criticism on all these players. Again, through football Twitter, shall we call it? But you pay no attention.
Liverpool's best business has been in, for me, selling players.
Coutinho.
This is something that Arsenal have done terribly over the years. But I look at Liverpool and the way they've sold, and then the way they've invested. They haven't sold a superstar and then gone and bought a superstar. Klopp sold a superstar. He invested in his squad.
Yeah.
He looked at holes, areas, cover, made sure he bought through youth. I think without, completely stroking the entire shaft of Liverpool for another half an hour. I think that there's a holistic nature to the way Liverpool have gone about their football that makes it very difficult not to respect them. It's very different to a City approach. It's very different to an Abramovich approach at Chelsea, which is splash the cash and buy everyone in. And for us, we look at that and we look at our own youth system and we see synergies. And I think that's why it's so much easier now to have conversations with Liverpool fans about their football, because it really is the way forward.
I mean, I see that this has all happened since, whether it's just a coincidence or the coming together and it was just the stars aligned, but since Klopp's came and because the boards have been in there for the previous, 5 years before that, we're close to liquidation when he first came in, to be fair, and it was ups and downs. There was Hodgson in, Dalglish and Rodgers in, and we had all that the first sort of 5 years of the tenure here. But then, and we've still got that split, FSG, the owner's out, one of them, and then the rest of them, like myself, I'm quite happy, they've turned that side, bought for 300 million, I think they're worth about 2 billion now from that side of thing behind the scenes. Increase the capacity of the ground, further plans for the Anfield Road end, new training base at Kirby where I live. That's where that's moving from Melwood. That's right up the road from me. Off-field sponsorships, all that sort of good stuff's been going on behind the scenes, and it's been in tandem with a manager who's got a proper way of working, a method. It's not a secret. It's certainly not a secret. He's done it at Dortmund, and he said he would do it here, and he's doing exactly the same thing here. And he's working under conditions a lot of people don't like. They want to see the big sign and they want to see this. Oh, yeah, it's exciting when you get a big sign. We've been through all that. It's got us fucking nowhere.
Building on something that Max said there, David. I mean, he seems like he does want to rub your shaft all evening, but I argue with my wife about many things. But the general football, when Liverpool were coming up to win the league before this pandemic took over and ruined all our lives, I kept saying to her that the feeling on the street for me is that most people didn't want Liverpool to win the league. And most of the people I talked to just were older people who just went back to the times where Liverpool won everything and the arrogance of their supporters. And she disagreed with me. She said, I'm just living in the past. But I genuinely felt I wanted Liverpool to win. If I'm really honest, David, I mean, I've got a lot of Liverpool family, but I know you were passionate about it. And when you got a mate who suffered like we have, not as badly. I mean, you did win 2 Champions Leagues. But I wanted Liverpool to win the league, but I felt I was in the minority, and most people wanted Manchester City to win it, and I can't stand that. Let's give the title to the team that spends the most money. Just doesn't appeal to me. Were you aware of that negativity towards Liverpool?
Yeah, massively. I fucking love it. That's the truth. Absolutely love it. The more, the better. And you know what? The more it goes on, you're doing a good job. So it doesn't matter how anyone in this day and age can back, other than Manchester City fans and other those fans that Liam was talking about before, those who have been there through the years, through when they're second division, third division, all this bollocks. You'd admire those fellas, and you've got a split, haven't you? You've got the ones who Johnny come lately. We've had it with Chelsea as Max mentioned as well. These fans that come by, they're here and then they're gone, aren't they? But how anyone can consciously, you can dislike Liverpool all you want, but don't consciously then say City is doing it the right way. Pep Guardiola will be gone this season. I've said it to the lads. He's done. He's finished. He's not coaching, and it's not being. I am objective. I am someone who can sit back now. I'm 47. I can sort of look back and just go, yeah, he's a good player. He put a good side together early on. But when you can buy players without consequence. When you're a manager, I'll use my own manager. When you've got to think about and make sure the buy is right, because if it doesn't work, you've got nothing else to spend. When you've got to lose a Coutinho to purchase a goalkeeper that we did need, don't get me wrong. He's turned out really well for us. If that's Man City, they keep Coutinho, they buy Van Dijk, and they buy Alisson. That's what they do. So anyone who wants football like that, fucking crack on with it. But you'll be following us.
It's new Chelsea all over again.
That's where a Super League would. I've been saying this for a long time. A lot of people are scared of a breakaway Super League, of the top clubs in the world. But I actually think a breakaway Super League would make the independent leagues, the domestic leagues, much, much more pure. Would it kill football?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. On the flip side,
would it kill football if we took, if you took, the top 22 players, or, the top 2 clubs out of England and took them elsewhere? I don't think it would kill football.
It wouldn't. I think from my point of view, to take Arsenal, Liverpool, City, United, the usual suspects, Bayern, Juventus, all these sorts of teams out, I think I'd quickly get bored with that, to be honest. I know what you're saying, but it's just like one continues. Champions League's long enough anyway, I think. But I think you're right. The flip side of that would be each league will be absolutely pure and probably goes back to an earlier time when it was sort of a little bit more equal,
Where it has to be, where you have to coach your way to victory, manage your way to victory, scout your way to victory, massively, develop your way to victory. For me, those are the things that are still exciting about football. When I watch Arsenal, because this is an Arsenal pod, believe it or not, but when I watch Arsenal, the thing that I get most joy out of it, and it's been hard for an Arsenal fan to eke joy out of the football club, but the thing that I get most joy out of is watching the youth come through. It's watching the players come back from loan and get themselves into the team. The joy that Saka has given us over the last season, hoping that ESR, Joe Willock, Reece Nelson, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, that all of these guys come through and make the grade. That's the thing that's really enjoyable for me. And that's, I guess, where,
to be honest, Max, you're right, because we only, that great game the early last year in the cup, in the Carabao Cup, was 5-5-5. I got a glimpse of our own, not only our own players, but obviously Arsenal's. That a lot of the lads you just mentioned there. What a game! And I was, to be honest, I got to a point at the beginning. I thought we were getting fucking hiding here. I thought we were getting hiding, and the game just sort of changed on that. But that's the type of sort of thing you want to see. You want to see these lads given a bit of exposure in the team, and it doesn't no one any harm. I'm looking now. I don't know what score Liverpool is. I know you
were 4-0 when we started. I'm sure it's okay.
Yeah. But the likes of our own, like Curtis Jones and the young Elliott who's coming on there. They're getting more and more exposure, but not just around kids themselves. You know what I mean? That in and around good first team players, and it's rubbing off on them. Not only the training day to day with them, but they're getting that sort of time on the pitch with them as well.
2 things against the Super League, Max. One, we would get bored with playing Barcelona every 3 games, and 2, we wouldn't be in it. So
I would actually say that Arsenal. I wouldn't want Arsenal to go into a Super League, and I don't think we could go into a Super League. But I definitely think if you take Abramovich and the Abramovich style and the Pep's the Man City styles, and you pull those out and you put them in a Barcelona league, I just think it would purify what was left.
Yeah, a couple of messages that are coming, David. A couple of messages that are coming on the screen here. Tony, who actually is on the Clock In review show, says, when I go to Anfield, Liverpool have the best set of home fans, but their social media fans are the most unbearable. That's why I didn't want them to win it. Fair comment?
Yeah, it's reiterating exactly everything what I said. There's the fucking gobshites on online, except this show tonight, to be honest. but you're right.
We're gobshites.
No. You're right. You're right in what you're saying. I hate my own sort of supporters on Twitter as much as I hate the Everton ones.
We've also got a message from Schwinn. The stadiums aren't the same without fans. Home field advantage isn't quite as real. Will that be on display on Monday? Are you a little bit fearful that you haven't got the home crowd?
No. As I say, we're at a stage, I think, of the way we're playing. I don't think it really matters. It just depends what the game is, really. Obviously, it helps us quite a lot when we were, you'd think of the Champions League games against especially the Barcelona game. It did have an effect on players. It does, but it's only key. It's only in certain games that really during the season. I think most of them. I think like you've experienced that at at the Emirates.
Oh no, it's pretty quiet there anyway, David.
No, what I mean is there's a high percentage of games in the league that just supporters go, "Oh, come to Anfield and it was quiet." I said, "Because you're shit. We're not going to." We're not going to sort of. We want to be entertained, and it's the certain games where when we need to, the temperature will be sort of raised in the game by the fans, and that's just the way it is. It's just modern football.
You're a bit of a known hater of Everton fans on Twitter. I follow you on Twitter, and you're quite abusive. You are one of those people. What do you make of them down the road? They made some good signings this year.
Well, yeah, it's rinse and repeat for me. I'll be honest. I mean, the only difference I think with them is, Ancelotti's a great manager. There's no doubt about it. It's whether or not they've done this. They've had a load of money since, I don't know, maybe the last 4 years. They've done this the last sort of 3 seasons. Won the transfer window, all the rest of it. They spent loads of money, but they're fucking useless. They're like a tramp that just found a lottery ticket. They don't know what to do with it. So, but at the same time, every season they've bought decent players. Even last season, even the season before. When you look at on paper, the decent players. I've never, we have the crack. I sort of give them a bit of stick online, but they bought players. It's all about what can you do with them. They've got a manager there who may be able to sort of pull something together, but they'll fucking choke by November as usual. But that's just the way it is, isn't it?
So you made a couple of good signings, Jota. Well, say good signings, Jota and Thiago. I think in the last 2 weeks, Jota was a strange one for me. Gone off the ball a bit. You got the best front three in the country.
Yeah. I mean, but this Michael Edwards, our sort of sporting director, and Klopp and whoever's involved in all these things. I think we're at a stage now where we can trust them. They've earned the trust over the last since he's come here. Each season, they bought players. I said it earlier on. We bought players that everyone else has sort of looked at and criticised. And a part of that is a bit of tribalism. People go, "He's shit. What have you bought him for?" I'm struggling to think of any key signings he's made that's failed since he's been. Now, yeah, there's been the odd loan sign that's come in and that, but the key players who he's wanted, when we couldn't get Van Dijk after a little bit of tapping up, the first time round, obviously. The knee-jerk reaction was we obviously need a centre half. So why are we waiting? He said no. He said we wait. He's the one that I want.
So where's the weakness, David? How are we going to beat you on Monday and Wednesday or Thursday? I don't know if that's been announced yet, but when are we going to?
Well, you've seen how you beat us by if we make an error. Honestly, that's the only thing I can think of. What I have been impressed of, I told you I was surprised when in that first game back, the solidity, the sort of willingness to defend. I've not seen that from Arsenal, because the bottom line is when you come to Anfield, what the phrase it's you're soft as shite, basically. You'd had a real soft underbelly. The last, I don't know what it is, the last sort of 6 games. I think Klopp's first game you drew at Anfield, and the last 5 he's won. At the Emirates, it's a bit different. It is generally a tougher game. A few draws in there. You've won. We've won one as well. But at Anfield, generally, you've rolled over. But I don't sort of see that. You're much more solid, and that's why I was saying about Arteta. I feel as though he started. I'm not comparing him with Klopp, but the way he's looked at it, and it's something you don't see because this is his first manager's job. He's come in and he's working on the mentality of that side, and he's done a good job so far.
Got a question in from Sam Babcock. Thoughts on Thiago?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I only saw him. We played Bayern Munich last March, not the March just gone, the March before. We played Bayern Munich at Anfield, and I think we had all our eyes on Lewandowski. But it was a 0-0 game. I think James Rodriguez played in that game, but Thiago was the standout player. They never give the ball away, and yourself when you're at the game, your eyes are often off the ball. You're watching players, and he was really outstanding. Do we need him? Obviously, he's seen him. He can take it up to a different level. I think he's got a better eye for pass than a lot of our midfield. Our midfield might struggle sometimes to get into other lineups in the league individually, but as a unit, they're hard to beat. We have Fabinho in there at centre half. I think his last game at centre half was against Bayern Munich, and Lewandowski didn't get a touch, and you saw a bit of that against Chelsea with Werner as well. I think he's a defensive-minded midfielder, and he does a good job there.
So look, we're done 45 minutes, and we're still on Liverpool.
Yeah.
Give us a prediction, Dave, unless everyone has got anything else to add. Give us a prediction. What do you think's going to happen? We've got 2 games next week, Monday and either Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay, where's that? Is that at your place or?
No, they're both at your place.
We're
going to stay in the Adelphi. We'll be up there, standing in the Adelphi. We'll be doing the Beatles tour. We'll do all those touristy stuff. All the players will be up there enjoying it.
Well, I think you're going to get a full array of the whole squad across the 2 games, definitely. We'll definitely play a bit stronger than tonight, I would imagine, in the second game. First, full strength side, I can see us winning maybe 4-1 or 4-2.
Bollocks. Wanker.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Love it.
Hey, look, they're beating us 4-0 and 4-1 in the last 2 visits. It ain't exactly rocket science, is it?
To be honest, I told you, I'm expecting a much more better defensive and togetherness from Arsenal than I have done the last 3, 4, 5 seasons.
And you're still going to get 4.
Expect us to be better defensively.
But it also
4 times.
Yeah, but no, I just think the difference between us against Leeds than against Chelsea. Yet they went down to 10 men, but I thought we were on top in the first half anyway. I just think the way they were playing. Okay, I'll give you 3-2 then. Okay. Go on, I'll give you 3-2.
See, they're all fucking patronising, aren't they now?
Yeah. We'll give you
Dave,
2
look,
goals.
we're going to let you go. We're going to talk about. We're going to preview the game and talk about that. Thank you so much. People can find you on Twitter. You're at David Holmes. David Holmes 78, is it?
73. That's 73. The year I was born, Darren. I'll take 78 now. Feels a lot longer than that.
David Holmes 73. You can find David on Twitter. He is more aggressive against Everton fans than he's letting on.
They're just a plaything. They're just a plaything for me. That's all.
Very funny man. So you can follow him there. Thanks, Dave. I'm going to let you go. I'll talk to you very soon.
Cheers, David.
Good luck, boys. Okay.
Cheers, David.
4-1.
On the last 2 years, I think I'd take it now.
Honestly, I can't see that. I can't see that happening. I kind of feel that with this modern Arsenal team under Arteta, that those days are behind us to some degree. I don't think we will win. I won't be tipping us for a win at Anfield against a full strength team, but we will play passive because that's what Arteta has done. We'll sit deep. We know when we sit deep, Xhaka tends to play really well because everything's in front of him. He won't get turned like he got turned constantly against West Ham. I think the defensive unit is stronger. I think we're a better team in general. I can see us losing 2-1. It all depends on whether or not Liverpool take their opportunities against us and whether we remain solid for 45 minutes. I think with an Arsenal team, if we concede an early goal, it becomes difficult for us because then we have to open up and we have to chase after it. But honestly, I can't, as much as I try and err on the side of caution with the team, I know a lot of fans will be saying, we've done them in the past, we did them in the cup, we'll go out and win them again. That may not be the case, but getting battered or getting completely overrun, I think we're coached better than that now.
Couldn't agree more. I think it'll be exactly the same way we played in the Community Shield. It'll just be a repeat of that game unless we go down a goal somewhat early.
If I just play devil's advocate, though, I mean, we beat them in the league last year. Was it 1-0? I can't even remember. After lockdown, that game where they, we had 3 shots to their hundreds. If we'd have conceded an early goal there, and if we'd have conceded in the Charity Shield early, because they were better than us, they battered us, and we had a goalkeeper who was on shit-hot form. They hit the woodwork multiple times. Can you just, look, I'm the most positive Arsenal fan you'll ever meet. So I've been up there to Anfield the last 2 seasons with hope in my heart and just seen us get battered. The fear for me is that's going to happen again. We concede an early goal and suddenly the floodgates open and it's another 3-4-0 because we have to press a game. Liam?
Yeah, I think it will be a bit different to that because we went a goal down. I can't remember how early, but we went a goal down at home as well. I mean, I know we got back into it with mistakes and whatnot, but we didn't sort of crumble. We didn't fold. So I don't think we'd see any of that again. So maybe we do go a goal down early, but I don't think we would crumble and fold. I think we'll still sort of keep playing, and maybe it does change the game a little bit, but I don't think we'll fold.
I mean, let's just go. I mean, I know we're looking forward to the Liverpool game on Monday night, but we're talking today on a Thursday evening in the UK. We won again last night. Leicester City away, 2-0 away from home. That was a really good result. Lots of changes made, 7 changes. Still a fairly strong side, Max. Didn't you? I don't want to talk in any detail about last night's game. It's the third round or the second round of the League Cup. It's really not high on our priorities. But what stood out for you last night?
I thought it was fucking boring as batshit. I fell asleep twice trying to watch it, and once I fell asleep at midday trying to watch it. If anything stood out to me, I would say Saka played quite well. I thought Reece Nelson showed that he still got something to offer the team. I will tell you the thing that stood out absolutely most to me. I put it up on Twitter. When Pepe doesn't find Eddie Nketiah in the centre of the box, and it pings off the goalkeeper, hits the defender, and then goes in. And instead of celebrating, Eddie Nketiah turns around and is so pissed off that he didn't get the goal. I put up on Twitter, I said, that is the most I've ever liked Eddie Nketiah. That is an Ian Wright, goals matter only mentality. And if he can put on a stone this year, become a bit more physical, he could be something special. I've never been a big Eddie Nketiah advocate. You can teach a lot of stuff. You can't teach attitude, and strikers need to have that fuck all of you, I'll put it in the back of net myself mentality.
I saw what you mean, actually. He was really pissed off that he didn't get the cut back. When he really pissed off, wouldn't even go over and celebrate with him, would he?
It's like bollocks to you, Pepe. Pass the fucking ball with your right foot, you cunt.
What about you, Liam? Anything stood out for you last night? I mean, I agree with Max on Saka. Anything else that jumped out at you?
Not really. I mean, it sort of seemed a strong lineup, but then you think about it, and it was probably expected given injuries. Smith Rowe, Cedric might have otherwise played. I was a bit disappointed not to see Saliba, actually. I don't know if we've heard anything about what's going on, but I thought he might get a run out. Have we heard anything?
No, he's playing in the under-21s and apparently played well. Hopefully we're just easing him in gently.
Yeah.
Because there is so much hype around him that the last thing you want to do with a young man who's got a lot of weight on his shoulders is throw him in early in the season, not a lot of football, not a lot of match awareness with Arsenal. I hope this is just Arteta being cerebral and deliberate.
Yeah, we've got a lot of games this year. We're going to be playing every 3 days this year. I mean, I'm sure we'll see him at some stage. Liam?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you just said. It was just, I thought if this was the time to ease him into the first team, then this might have been the night to do it. But in terms of positives, actually, I thought we pressed from the front quite well. Haven't really seen us do that much, but that was a standout in terms of a positive thing.
It was an athletic team that he put out. I think you can sort of see that if, I don't know how to put this the right way, if those players were better than what they are, then with that athleticism, you could see that being more of the way Arteta wants to play, more on the front foot, more of a high press, definitely much less passive. I just think it broke down because you've got, especially with a lot of these young players, your Wicks and your Nelsons, and even, can I say, Pepe, they have a tendency when they play to over-try and overrun. They don't feel as comfortable in their skin in the team, and the ball bounces off them a little bit. So I think you can look at that team you can look at that game from a tactical perspective and get quite a lot out of it. I don't think you can get a lot out of it from a performance perspective because a lot of those guys aren't going to be first teamers.
I don't want to disagree with either two, but I kind of enjoyed the game. I mean, Max, maybe the time difference and that, although you did say you watched it at midday.
It still fell asleep.
But you're up so early to do this podcast, maybe you're just tired. But I thought it was, maybe I missed the first 15 minutes. I thought it was an 8 o'clock kickoff. And by the time I worked out how to pay my £10 to watch Arsenal play in a nothing game midweek away from home, I thought Saka was exceptional. I agree. Nelson, just full of energy. They all seem to be wanting to show. I thought we just looked dodgy at the back. I just thought that was it. We just looked like a very normal Arsenal defence. Every time they came at us, they managed to work their way through us, and that was a little bit scary. I mean, I don't really.
If Kolasinac plays against Liverpool, we're fucked. The last couple of, in fact, I would say that if Tierney's not fit, we may struggle, because Tierney has had Salah in his pocket for a couple of games now when he's man marked him. So I hope that hamstring tightness isn't there.
Maitland-Niles as a right back, I mean, something we've all talked about. You know, he's played and filled in very well on the left-hand side in multiple positions, and he's played at right back as cover when Bellerin got his injury. But I didn't think he was very good last night, either going forward or going back. Any thoughts on that?
No, I
love Maitland-Niles. I love him. I think he's the difference. You know, I want him to see him on the left-hand side against Liverpool on Monday night. So this isn't a criticism, but I guess my point is that he's right-footed, and we put him in the right. We're giving him a chance to play as a right back, and he didn't do very well. I didn't think, really.
No, I mean, I didn't come away from the game thinking, "Oh, Maitland-Niles had a poor game." He certainly didn't stand out. Don't get me wrong, but maybe I found the game quite dull as well, to be honest. So maybe that's partly why. But I didn't think he played bad necessarily.
I think he needs a prolonged run in a position, building a partnership with someone in front of him. Because if you keep James Milnering him and you keep moving him left to right back to wing back to left wing back, to asking him to play on the left and drag into a centre of a left three where his angles and who he's playing with then change when he goes into the next game. I just think that there's an element with Ainsley Maitland-Niles of versatility will end up being the undoing of him. Whereas, I've said openly, I would prefer to get Hector Bellerin on the market, get him sold off because I don't think that he's suited to the Premier League anymore. Give Ainsley Maitland-Niles an extended run at right back with an extended run with people in front of him who he understands, and let him develop into the player he is.
I know you're a big fan of him and Pepe as a combination.
Yeah, look, they didn't come off really, really well together, but I think Maitland-Niles and Pepe complement each other because Maitland-Niles has the physicality and the engine to go beyond Pepe and still get back. And when he goes beyond Pepe, it drives Pepe into the centre square, where we've seen he's actually most deadly from a goal-scoring perspective, almost taking that Aaron Ramsey line, that late arrival to the penalty spot and first timing it with the left foot. So I just think it's combinations and synergies and things like that with Ainsley. I didn't think he was bad.
No, I mean, so many times I said I'm never going to mention this again in a podcast, but I think it's probably relevant. No Ozil in the squad, no Guendouzi. Guendouzi, obviously, that's a lot more clear cut. He's got a contract with us, and we're going to try and sell him. Ozil. I mean, look, I'm bringing it up because it is a key thing. We're looking at our game against West Ham last week. We haven't talked about that at all, but we were lacking a creativity when teams come and sit. I think Tony mentioned it on the podcast yesterday. When teams sit, we don't seem to have that creativity to be able to break these teams down, and we need an Ozil.
Yeah, but six of one and half a dozen of the other, Tony. When teams sit and we get waves of possession, we ultimately will lose possession, and then we get turned, overrun, and transition. So if you put Mesut Ozil in that team, you look at, say, for example, when Willian came off against West Ham, all of a sudden we lost the midfield because Willian's work rate was so much he was pulling into midfield and stopping us getting overrun. So you talk about, some Arsenal fans talk about the need for Ozil from a creative perspective. Well, he created the grand total of fuck all last season in the games that he played, and he doesn't work. So I don't think that you can just cut a Mesut Ozil sized shape and stick him into a team. I got 3 words when it comes to Mesut Ozil. Fuck Mesut Ozil.
Okay. Now I'm not in the position where I generally defend him, but I do take offence when say people he doesn't work. He does work. He just can't tackle. I think there's a real difference there. Ozil puts in a lot of work. He's always up there in the running stats. He does work. He's got a language style which makes him look lazy. I understand that, but he just can't tackle. I comment often that it's like, if you've got a 4-year-old nephew and you play football with him in the garden, or a 4-year-old son, where you can just walk round him. You can just drag the ball back and make him fall over. Mesut Ozil is a 4-year-old boy when it comes to tackling. He's just not very good. But I take umbrage when you say he doesn't work. He obviously doesn't work in this side, but he's obviously no longer in the plans. I mean, have we just written that money off for the year, Liam?
I think so, by the looks of it. I think we'll do everything we can to find a buyer. I don't know if anyone in the MLS or Turkey is still interested, but yeah, I think it's as clear cut as Guendouzi. We'll try and find a buyer, do everything we can, and if we can't and have too many non-homegrown players, write it off, see you off next season, be done with it, move on.
I bet you all a fiver he retires from football completely at the end of his Arsenal contract.
I had this conversation today, Max. It's spooky. I think he doesn't like playing football anymore.
No, if he wanted to go, we essentially offered to pay the majority of his wages. He had options. If he wanted to play football, it wouldn't be about money because he would still get his cash, whether it was in a payout, whether it was in a subsidized wage. The man has no desire to play football anymore, in my opinion.
I think when he retired from international football, that was it. He'd done everything he could in the game. He'd won the top honours. And I just think he's, it was 400 grand a week. Yeah, he's not going to turn it down. And he hasn't got the desire to make himself good enough to get back into that side. And Arteta spots that. And when you've got, my wife says quite often, people are radiators or drains. People either radiate enthusiasm, a bit like myself, fucking radiate enthusiasm, excitement, entertainment. And you've got drains, people who are just always negative. And I think that's what Arteta has identified, that he's a drain. He doesn't want him around the club because he saps energy rather than giving it. I think he's given up.
And he's not the first coach to do it. I think I was having this conversation with my brother the other day. I think that you can almost pinpoint the point at which Unai Emery lost that team. And it's when he cracked and brought Mesut back in. Yeah. And honestly, he came in, he said, "Nah, Ramsey, you're going to sit there. Ozil, you're going to sit there." Ramsey worked his ass off, put in his performances off the bench, got himself back into the team. Mesut Ozil sat there, kick stones, put things on Twitter. And then when it all came crumbling down, Mesut come saved me. The whole environment of that dressing room would have just turned on its head at that point. He's divisive. I was about to say he's divisive. He creates division, but those two things are exactly the same.
That's okay. That's all right.
And I can only imagine that if you've got him, even in the squad training, I don't think he's even training with the first team. He's training with the under-23s. That has to be because he creates, again, division within the club, division within the players. The sooner, and I applauded Arteta when he wasn't in the squad because it would have been so easy to appease people and just put him there, even on the bench. I was like, that is a mark. It's a line in the sand where he said, "You're not going to play. You're not in the squad. You can train all year. You can take your money. Hopefully this is a push towards January. If he does still want to play football in January and he can't get his own way, maybe then he'll fuck off." But like I said, I think he will retire. And
it's not like Arteta didn't give him a chance. He played every game under him before lockdown, didn't he? I'm sure Arteta joined the club and he played with Ozil, I'm sure, didn't he? At the end of his career, he must have played with Ozil and thought, I've got one world-class player in this side, I'm going to play him. And then it took him 2-3 months, 10 games, I guess, and then we never saw him again. Okay, look, last weekend we all looked at games we looked forward to watching. I said I wanted to watch Tottenham. Well, I did, and I didn't enjoy it one little bit. The game I did enjoy, though, last week was Man United Crystal Palace. Did you watch that game? We made our predictions at the start of the year. Is there anything that worries you about your predictions? Because I chose Brighton to go down, and then I was going to send a message to Jack, who's recording our predictions, saying, "Fuck, I made a mistake. I actually like Graham Potter, and I think Brighton are going to be okay." This was after, before they'd even played. I thought, "Fuck, I've got this wrong. I want to choose Crystal Palace instead." And I never made that mess. I'm fucking glad I didn't change from Brighton to Palace. Fucking hell, how good were Crystal Palace? How bad were Manchester United?
I have Manchester United as third. That's not going to go well, is it?
Tez, Liam's off the pod. He's an idiot. They finished third last year, didn't he? Solskjaer got them playing really well. Very
early in the season, and this is the problem with predictions and early season predictions. We're all fucking making it up anyway.
No, I mean the The reason for bringing that game up, Max, sorry to talk over, the reason for bringing that game up, I mean, one, obviously, just to highlight how good, but Man United were obviously rusty, not played enough games. You know, it was their first game back. Palace were just a couple of games fitter and more sharper than them. It was fairly straightforward. But I wanted to talk just briefly, handball, VAR. You know, I've been on record forever saying, and I'm old, so I understand this, that VAR will ruin football, in my opinion. VAR was the death of football. You know, I would much prefer to argue with people in the pub about an offside decision and that the referee was a complete wanker. I'm quite happy to do that. Now we're just arguing about television, you know, and we've taken the fun of scoring a goal out because we don't celebrate anymore like we used to. We look over at the linesman, we wait for 2 minutes for him to have a check. We're never really sure anymore, and it's just, it doesn't work. But the point, I mean, I don't understand handball. If the handball in the Manchester United Crystal Palace game was a handball, then surely Gabriel's touch against West Ham was also a penalty. Any
100%, 100% a handball. If they're going to apply the law evenly and they're going to make it as black and white as possible, it strikes an outstretched arm which deflects the ball away from a player. It's a penalty every day of the week. I'm on record like you, Darren. I remember I did a podcast on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. It would have been the season before VAR came in. It was me and 4 guys on a panel. Every single one of them wanted VAR. And I stood there and said, this will destroy football. It will destroy the instant gratification that you get from football. And as soon as you start applying it, it has to start getting applied to every single decision. It's just, for me, it's disgusting. It will destroy football. We should tear it up now, remove it.
But wasn't VAR brought in, Liam? Wasn't VAR brought in to stop the clear and obvious errors? You know, I mean, from an England point of view, you know, the Lampard goal in the semi-finals, where it was at the Euros, you know, the one that crossed the line. I mean, obviously that goal line technology, but you know, to get rid of these clear and obvious errors. And it's now actually refereeing from the sidelines. They're telling referees, stop, have a look at this, for inconsequential moments in the game.
I think the worst, I was for VAR because I was for getting rid of these errors. I thought, okay, great. But I think all it's actually done is take away any sympathy that referees ever had. Because I used to be a referee myself, and I could watch a game of football and say, right, the lineo's made a mistake, that was offside. But I could sympathise because I know how difficult it is in the moment to make a decision. But when you go to a video camera and you start scrutinising and you look at them in slow motion, you go, you can't afford to make an error. So when they do, because everyone's human, you take away any sympathy that you had for them. And that's the worst thing about it, in my opinion.
And it's subjective. So you're removing the objectiveness of one referee and then just putting the objectiveness onto another referee, you know, sitting inside, as my mate Scunny Mike would say, a wank truck out the back.
You can't see that. I just wrote down subjective. That's it. Just what I was going to say. It's subjective. It's my opinion. It's your opinion, Max. It's your opinion, Liam. It's you know, we can argue in a pub, which we do long and hard for hundreds of years. We've argued about football decisions in a pub. This was meant to make it better, and it's making it worse.
I'll tell you the lesser of two evils with it, the way I see it, because I think it's going to be part of our game.
It is,
and
yes. No going back.
And that's, you change it. We're just starting to do it. I often talk about rugby league. No one cares about rugby league.
Not at all.
We're just starting to do it in rugby league now. We brought in a captain's challenge. And the main crux of it is that the players generally know whether it was a goal or not. They're on the pitch and they're closest to it. And what I would do is I would bring in a captain's challenge. So whether they get one per half or whatever it is, and then you get the ref, who already has his own subjective opinion, to walk to the side of the pitch and go and look at it again. And he makes the opinion, not two people's fucking opinions, one person's opinion. And you make it so it's a challenge system. It removes the howler. It removes the Thierry Henry handball goal against Ireland. You know, that's the only way that you can do it and make it safe.
Max, if you host a podcast next week, you could just be me, because I've again gone on record so many times. That's it. The only way it's going to work for me is to have, like they do in cricket. I didn't mention rugby league because nobody watches rugby league. It's a stupid game played in the north of England. It's got to be. They've got to do that. They've got to give teams, like they do in the cricket, they've got to give them a challenge if they don't like something. And of course, there'll be some odd challenges, but the linesmen, how good are the linesmen these days? You know, I think they get, I think it was like 97.7% of decisions correct. You know, fine, let's fucking live with that. How many times does fucking Mesut Ozil give the ball away? How many times does Lacazette miss a goal? People make mistakes, live with it. Happily.
It's part of football. We sit there looking at this toe of offside, a heel with two lines on the pitch to try and find it. For years and years and years of football, if that happened and you looked at it on TV, without drawing the lines, everyone says it's onside.
Yeah.
Like as it looks. And there is an argument for you should stop fucking drawing lines on the pitch and start, if you're going to referee it from a bunker, referee it the way a linesman would referee it. You have a look at it and you say, on the balances of probability, is it going with the attacker? I think the attacker should always have the right over the defender. And if it's close enough, then it's a goal. Then all you need to do is get the linesman to start keeping the flag down in a goal-scoring situation until the play has finished. Then they pop the flag up. You know, if it's offside, it's offside. If you want to burn a captain's challenge on it because you think there's a chance there's a fucking gnat's cock or a pubic hair offside, then burn a challenge. It's the only way you fix it. Fuck this VAR shit out. I don't want to win an FA Cup in the last second of a game, you know, with some belting goal and then have to sit there and go, yeah, let's just check if someone was standing passively offside on the corner for 15 minutes and get any of the gratification.
Yeah, and just to add another example, I'm with you so much on Max. Honestly, it's my hymn sheet you're singing from. The handball I brought up the Manchester United Crystal Palace game because the handball decision was brought back 2 minutes after, you know, I think it was in that game. Sorry, I'm mixing the games up over the weekend, but there was one that was brought back and they'd been playing for almost 2 minutes before the Stockley Park or wherever the VAR assistants are sitting actually brought the game back and a decision was checked and given. What happens if the other team goes up the end and scores in that time?
It happened in Holland last season, where they actually VAR'd it back and they had to remove a goal from the opposition team.
Just
so it
nonsense.
3-2, and then it became awful, just awful. And I can't express myself anymore about how much this is just a horrific thing. I'll tell you another thing they could do as well with VAR is bring in a shot clock for VAR. You've got 30 seconds, 45 seconds, look at it. If you can't work out in 30 seconds or 45 seconds whether it's definite one way or the other, fuck you, play on.
Yeah, I think Tony said something similar to that, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, because the point is, if you can't tell, if you have to scrutinise it for 2 minutes to see if a mistake's been made, it's not clear and obvious at all, is it?
But
that's how I started. All the emotion has come out of the game by that stage.
And Tony, look, to give Tony his credit, when me and Tony argued about this at the start of last season or the season before, and I was bringing up the point about celebrating goals, that's the number one reason we go to watch football. We don't go to watch a good, solid defensive display. We go to watch Thierry Henry smash one in the top corner, or, you know, Liam Brady curl a pass into the top corner. We go to football for this. And I said to Tony at the start of the season when it was brought in that we would stop celebrating games. And he made it really good. We argued. He said, no. He said, I was at the Liverpool game and he's talking about how they celebrated twice. We celebrated when the goal went in, then it went to VAR, and then we celebrated again when the decision was given our way. And then a month later, and Tony, Tony goes to every game that Arsenal play. You know, he doesn't miss a game. He knows his football. And he said, after a month into it, you're right, I was wrong. We actually don't celebrate goals anymore. You half celebrate, but then you actually think, well, let's wait for the check. And if that joy is taken out of football, then football's not worth watching. It's really not worth watching.
We have to protect the in-ground experience. That's what makes football better than all the other codes. The in-game experience is better than any other in-game experience. The singing, the emotion, everything. That has to be protected at all costs. And VAR seems to me has been brought in to appease a television-based fan at the cost of the in-ground fan and at the cost of the in-ground experience. You don't want to start seeing stadiums with, 50,000 people stadiums with 30,000 people in them because the in-game experience has lost its mojo. Protected at all costs.
Yeah, it's just a sad way. It's a nice segue there. which I've forgotten completely. You were just talking about there, and I thought, well, that's a nice segue into what I was going to talk about next. And now I can't remember what it was.
It's that grey matter, Darren. It's just receding.
I was just
every
looking
week.
at the clock, thinking I don't want to do too much more. What were we talking about? VAR. Oh, crowds. That was it. I mean, look, the government's just locked down again here loosely. It's a loose lockdown. I was meant to be going to Scotland next week. I was going to go and visit the Highlands of Scotland for the first time in my life, and then they've just changed it. See, we're going with a group of mates, but now you can only have 2 households, so you're not allowed to go in the pub. So there's no point in going to Scotland if you can't go to the pub. So that's been cancelled. So, but they've induced this. You know, I was in the ballot to get to the Sheffield United game, our next home game. I was excited about the chance of maybe going to watch Arsenal again, and now they said they probably won't let fans in for the next 6 months. Does anyone care? I mean, look, you two live in countries around the world. 95% of Arsenal fans probably never go to the stadium. Do you really care that there's no fans in the stadium? You can listen with your studio noise. Does it make any difference to you that there's no fans there? Because me, Tony, it makes a huge difference to us. It's our life. It's our weekends. Does it matter to you as foreign visitors?
Yeah, a little bit. Certainly not to the extent that you guys do, but my family still live in the UK. So when I want to go visit the UK, I'll try and time it so that I'm going at the same time when Arsenal are at home and I can go watch. So there's a little bit of that. But also, I mean, it's better for the TV because frankly, it's shit without the fans for TV experience as well. And just generally cheering the team on, having a crowd there to cheer the team on. There's sort of a good feeling about that, knowing that there are fans there. I don't know if you feel the same way, Max, but I feel quite glad that I can't make it to cheer my team on, but I know there are 60,000 or 20 when there's a reduced capacity doing that job and helping cheer our side on.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that you know, I think I was saying it before, the in-ground experience is something that's really important and has to be protected. It doesn't exist at the moment, but that in-ground experience seeps onto the football pitch. And if you want to see where it seeps in, I look at the goal celebrations now when we score goals, and it's like everyone gets together and they go like, yeah, quick cuddle.
Big hug,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, big hug in the corner. You know, I want to see, you know, Theo Walcott running behind the goals, you know, arms stretched out, you know, looking at the fans, nodding. I want to see Thierry Henry in a knee slide. You know, I want to see Aubameyang doing a forward flip. Who the fuck's Aubameyang going to flip for now? His mates.
I want to see, Max, I want to see Sammy Nelson drop his shorts in front of the North Bank. Here's one for the kids.
But, you know, the emotion in the goal scoring. And I feel bad for, like, great goals at the moment. You know, like to score a great goal now or to score an FA Cup winning goal or to, you know, to hit a cracker in the 90th minute and to curl one in top corner. That, you know, there's something that's been aborted from the game with no crowds. And it's something that's not in our power. So we have to get on with it as fans. I actually think the players have done really well to maintain intensity. I can, with the fake game noise in a good game, get a bit lost in a game. And yeah, I can't do it without it. It sounds like going to.
It sounds like a Sunday morning football.
Yeah, it sounds like going to the park. You and I, Darren, we're fucking.
I used to live. There was a pitch outside a house I used to live in, and that noise of people playing football on a Sunday morning is what it sounds like when you haven't got the crowd noise on. I don't want to watch that.
Do we have different crowd noise or something? It's awful on Dutch TV.
It's better than nothing, Liam.
Oh no! I mean, when it's just being passed around in midfield or something, fine, I don't mind it. But you see a chance. I think I saw a game. I can't remember exactly the details, but there was a really soft header from whoever it was, and it just landed. Goalkeeper straight catch, just like that. I could have saved it. 30 seconds. Honestly, I swear to God, I timed it. I think it was 20 to 30 seconds later. You got the. Ooh, that was close.
Okay, well maybe just on Sky they're getting good at it. You know, they've got the right. They've obviously labelled the buttons up. I mean, we're broadcasting now. We've done a bit of broadcasting in my life. You've got your buttons in front of you. One's gone boo. One's gone. They've marked them up now. Close miss. referee's a wanker, sending off, because they've got those now. I mean, I think that's the funniest one is when someone gets sent off and all the crowd's really angry.
Yeah. I think the real proof will be in the pudding, say, against Tottenham. When we get a North London derby and there's no crowds, and we'll see where the emotion is in those games. If it still maintains. We already had one.
Yeah, at the first North London derby at Spurs' new place, lost it 2-1 in the 85th minute or something.
That's right.
Goes to show.
Didn't we?
Lacazette scored a 35-yard screamer. I'm
Correct.
slightly exaggerating.
Yeah.
Absolute worldie of a goal. Couldn't celebrate it. Went up the other end and they equalised almost immediately. Shit header from a corner. Cunt.
Yeah.
Another good game by Lacazette at the weekend. Anyway, that's enough for us this week. I think we've done enough. Look, we've done over an hour. I think it's enough. Really, thanks, guys, for joining us today. Don't forget to check out the West Ham review, which I think came out today. Tez, Jack, and Tony were doing that review in the West Ham game. I'm not here next week. Max, you're going to be able to host next week?
Yep, I'll get up the extra 15 minutes earlier and try and scribble down.
People won't even notice the difference. See? How bad is that accent? I'm going to do it. See, you just have to do me and I do you. Honestly, our thoughts are the same. Max, I don't know, Liam, how you're fixed for next week, but I'm going to go. I've just booked a last-minute holiday to Turkey, so I'll be away next week. I might be able to come in, but it'll be midnight and I'll be pissed. So
yeah, all right, we'll get the best out of you. Guys, before we go as well, my Twitter handle's changed. I got banned off Twitter for calling Tim Sherwood a cunt. So if you want to follow me, the old Ask Bros rant Twitter's gone. Yeah, I called him a cunt with a cunt face. And it's the third time that I've had a suspension that is Tim Sherwood related. So they finally.
I was going to mention that. So you're at the Arse Brothers now, are you?
At the Arse Bros rant's dead. I've sent Twitter a letter saying that I had a mental condition and I needed special consideration, which isn't far from the truth, the mental condition part. But no, I'm back on the Arse Bros link on the Arse Brothers now. The Arse Bros rant is dead.
Yeah, I did advertise you wrong. Yeah. Okay, but if you want us, Liam, you can get him at Groningen. I'm just going to say that really quick. And I'm not going to do a Dutch accent because you just spit all over my screen. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Let's hope we've got any. I know I don't do predictions, but I'm just going to say confident for Monday night. Confidence level.
My heart's more confident than my head. Put it that way.
I think we'll lose, but I think we'll be solid.
4-0 to Arsenal. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Liam. Thanks everyone for listening to us, and I really appreciate that. The amount of people that have been downloading the podcast. You can get it everywhere you get your usual podcasts. Don't forget to check out the regular show, and it was just an message from Tez. You guys still going? Yeah, but Tez, it's only an hour and 22 minutes, and I'm wrapping up. So see you all this time next week. And Tez, don't forget to put the closing music on the podcast. It's really good music. Don't forget. Bye.